Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my channel. I will be your host, Thrones, bringing you, I would say one, but three role-playing builds revolved all around Azura. The Crimson Gate, Queen on Dawn and Dusk, the Mother Soul, Moon Shadow, Mother of the Rose, Queen of the Night Sky, Twilight Queen, and the Rim of all Holes, the Cosmic Sorcerer, Azura by the Khajiit. Basically, the Daedric Prince whose sphere is Dawn and Dusk. She is usually the patron of Dark Elves Dunmers, well, for one group currently, if we take into consideration the living gods of Almalexia, Vivek, and Sothasil. But yeah, three builds, three themes, and three interpretations of Azura. Sweet boy, I don't know, a subscriber that requested a Azura build, so I have taken it to make a couple. One is going to be a Dunmer, a classical Dunmer Azura build, which is going to be around, well, playing as a Dunmer, Sorcerer. All three of them are going to cover Sorcerer, so I'm going to put them all in this one video. What else is there to add? I don't know. But yeah, one is going to be Dunmer, the other one is going to be Breton, which is going to be based around the Knights of the Silver Rose. And the third one is going to be a Khajiit worshipping Azura with an H at the end. So, yeah. Now let us start with the Dark Elf. Obviously we are going to play as a Dark Elf. And the class I went with is going to be Sorcerer, and all three builds are going to take Sorcerer. Not too many reasons of why, but there are a couple of skills that are related to the Daedric Prince, hence the whole motivation around it. For stats, we're going full magic on this one. Using the Thief Munda Stone. If you have a tough time sustaining your magicka, you can always go with the Atronach Stone. I'm using Witch Mother's Potent Brew for the food, because I do like the health, magicka, and the magicka recovery. That would be it for the character. This part. For the sets, we are going with the class set, which is the Beacon of Oblivion's Plaudits. When you have a pet active, we don't care about that. While you do not have a pet active, increase your damage done and healing done by 15%. And it gives us the beautiful glow you can see on the character's shoulders. So 10 out of 10, using it for that actually, but you know, it's also very strong, big strong. For the second set, I'm going with Overwhelming, giving us a nice shocking thingy around our body that, you know, deals shock damage, gives us magicka back. So our magicka recovery is going to be quite high with this build, generally speaking. For the one-piece monster set, I just went with Mola Kenna. And for the jewelry mythic, I went with Veloth the considering it is a, well, Veloth. And yeah, Dunmer. Boohoo. Simple. Now this build, I would usually say it's not so meta, but if we take a better look at it, you can actually just change around the Overwhelming with, I don't know, the Depth set or maybe Reliquin or something else, and you can actually have a very meta build itself. So yeah, for the skills, actually let's see if we have any alternative. Of course we have the Asylum, we have the Maelstrom one for the back bar. For the traits, I go with Infused, I go with both lightning bars. I am going with the more lightning theme on this one. I went with also Shock Enchant, but I recommend a Fire Enchant or a Poison one if you really prefer. Bloodthirst in all three, Divines and everything else. Magicka Enchanted, weapon and spell damage, and yeah, weapon and spell damage. But in any alternatives, you can always swap on Thunderous Caller, which is a set dropped from Knights of the Silver Rose dungeon. I can't remember the name of it. And yeah, it deals lightning damage. Not my cup of tea on this character, because I'm going to use it on another one. You could always go with the Batshran ability changing weapon. Holy crap, my brain is not functioning today. And it basically gives you a zappy thingy between you and the enemy that, you know, does the zappy thingy. You can always go with the Ilimbrus if you don't want to use the Mythic. However, it is going to rain fire as much as lightning, so I would recommend actually also slotting on a fire stuff on the back bar, so you can have both a fire and lightning build. Thundercaller, Overwhelming, maybe even Stormfist if you really prefer that Daedric summoning, but at the same time not Daedric summoning. I don't recommend the pet on this, because every time any type of pet is summoned, even if that's from the Maw of the Infernal or anything like that, it is going to remove the damage done and healing done and just give us a little bit of health and armor, which we do not want. You want a no pet build, and this is a no pet build. For the skills, I am going with Inner Light on both bars, considering it gives us Major Savagery and Prophecy, increasing our critical rating and our max magicka. Second set is going to be Bound Aegis. When slotted, gives us maximum magicka, and we get minor resolve and minor protection, increasing our resistances and reducing our damage taken by 5%. But the 8% magicka. For the third set, third ability, we are going with Critical Surge. Gives us Major Brutality and Sorcerer. Ignore the the description, invoke Meridia's name. We're invoking Azora's name, so just cross that out. Yeah. And we basically heal every time we deal critical damage. It's one of the best in slot skills you can do on a sorcerer. We're using Crystal Fragments for our main spammable and Endless Fury for our execute. For the back bar, we're going with Haunting Curse. Usually you would go with the other morph if you had pets, but we don't have pets, so that's gonna last a little bit longer dealing damage. Lightning Flood, as well as Unstable Wall of Storms for more AoE, and Boundless Storm, so we can also get Major Resolve, increasing more resistances, and we also get a little bit of speed, but mainly it deals shock damage every 2 seconds for 30 seconds. For the ultimate, we're going with Power Overload for the thematic value, but mostly Thunderous Rage, which is going to deal lightning damage in AoE. For the CP, we're going with nothing too fancy, but Mesa is going to be Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, Steed's Blessing, and Gifted Rider. The green tree is usually very subjective, but I do recommend these two, Rationer and Liquid Efficiency, being more quote-unquote leaning towards meta, Steed's Blessing so you can move out of combat, between boss fights, between ad fights, etc, and Gifted Rider I just like for myself. For the blue tree, I went with Wrathful Strikes, Fighting Furnace, Master at Arms, and Thaumaturge. You can play around if you want a little bit, if you need more critical, go with more critical. If you need more penetration, go with Force of Nature, but considering I'm just using pure lightning, I'm only gonna get 600, so that's not gonna be too worth it. Backstabber, or I believe you can also go with Deadly Aim if you're gonna be more single target oriented. For the red tree, I went with Boundless Vitality, Fortified, Rejuvenation, and Siphoning spells. For every time we kill an enemy, we get magicka back, which synchronizes nicely with the Endless Fury, giving us more magicka for each kill, which is also tied thematically speaking. For the outfit, we went with a very simple aesthetic. So I went with Ancient Daedric for most of the pieces. Ignore the hidden Celestial pants. If in case you don't like a robe, I do recommend the Celestial breeches. I went with the Celestial gloves, giving us this clean look. And for the belt, I went with Canothi's Pride. For the weapons, Gloombound Staff. For the rest of the aesthetics, I went with the Telvanni personality, which you can get by doing the Telvanni questline in Vvardenfell, which will take you around 40 to 50 minutes if you did not do it so far. And for the head markings, I am going with the Azur's Eyes, which is some claim those who venture to Moon Shadow, yada yada. It's blue. For the hairstyle, I'm also going with the Azure, because it looks cute, And Chained Wraith for the slow thingy. For the headpiece, I believe Elven Infinity Hull Circlet. As for the mount, I went with, I believe, Bear, yeah. With the Starboard Guardian. I know it's celestial and all of that, but moon, stars, celestials, But you can always go with Stormard, Atronach, or whatever. Now that we're done with this one, I'm going to relog on the next one. Alrighty, we relogged. This one is going to be a Khajiit. It's going to be inspired by the the view of Khajiits and elsewhere towards Azura. And, you know, the mother of all Khajiit, she who sits at the priest's sepel and whatever the word, Fadamai, yada yada, yada yada. I'm not gonna go too much into lore, a lot of people do it way better. For example, I do recommend Rumora, like that's the name of the guy on his channel. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Just 10 out of 10. Go check it out, please. Mwah. Lore. Mwah. I'm terrible at it, but mwah. Anyways, Khajiit, All Magica, Thief's Stone, cause I can. For food, I recommend Witch Mother Brew. For sets, this one I went with more of a Canarthi and Azura type of build. So yeah, Canarthi is believed to be Azura's messenger, and there is the dead Khajiit souls to her for judgment. Joan and Jode, and you know, etc, etc. So, considering Canarthi, you know, Kenrith, Canarthi, Azura, Azura, you know, I went with that combo. So we're going with Reliquin, which is a meta set for some bloody reason, but we went it for the aesthetics of the blowy windy around enemy, yay. Second one is going to be Thundercaller. When we do heavy attack, it calls a bolt of lightning at your target, dealing X amount of damage. And then for the monster set we went with Kargeda, because on dealing damage with the heavy attack you create a whirlwind that also does shock damage, and you know, it's basically a combination of this, and then this one, and this one relies on light and heavy attacks, this one relies on heavy attacks, this one relies on heavy attacks. So you're gonna heavy attack at least once every, you know, I don't know, every 12 seconds you want to heavy attack once. Any alternatives? I don't know, you can go with the silent ones, silent weapons, and yeah, just go wild. For the skills, we went with Endless Fury, Crystal Weapons, Critical Surge, Deadly Cloak, Inner Light, and Greater Storm Atronach. For the second bar, I went with Haunting Curse, Lightning Flood, Unstable Wall of Storms, Hurricane, Inner Light, and Thunderous Rage. Hurricane because winds, you know, Canarthi, winds, Azura, you know, yeah. Anyways. For the champion points, we went with the usual on the green tree. I'm sorry I did not slot any, but basically you can copy paste from the first one. Yeah, sorry. For the fashion, I went with Forgrave chest piece because my Khajiit is a you know, traveler in between worlds, and you know, celestial sash because I like the gem, you know. Canarthi Pride for the hands and the boots. This one is not really that keen. Maybe Celestial Breeches, Fargrave Guardian Shoulders, and Silver Rose Hat. And I went with Abnor Thorn stuff, as well as the Pristine Moon Crescent, which is a artifact of Azura. For the colors I went with Shrike Blue, Covenant Blue, and Colossus Brass for the golden parts. For the cat itself, for hair I went with the Mane of Many Rivers, which looks very blue, a little bit of green, but mostly blue. For the head markings, Azure Eyes again, and for the personality I went with Passion's Muse, and it gives a little flower, and she's not like that, but yeah. Next one! And lastly, and the final one, is going to be my Breton, which is inspired by the Knights of the Silver Rose. Basically, they were an order of Bretons from High Rock, and they were based in around Glenumbra, I believe. And they were dedicated to keeping all Tamriel safe from Daedic threats. Spoilers alert, they failed at it, became corrupted, shit like that. But we're gonna pretend that it is not the case for this one particularly. The Daedric Prince Azura was a notable exception for the anti-Daedric sentiments of the Knights. Some among the Order even saw her as a patron deity and made offerings on behalf of the Knights of the Silver Rose, so we went with that, so yeah. Hell yeah. Anyways, Breton. full magicka. We have a lot of magicka on this one, as you can see. This one is going to be based on a pure pet type of build. So for the sets, we have two types of builds. One build is going to rely on multiple pets, the other one is just going to rely on one singular pet. Let me start actually with the abilities. For the abilities, I went with Inner Light on both bars, gives us maximum magicka and critical. Second one is going to be Bound Aegis, which is going to give us even more magicka. Third ability is Twilight. Why the Twilight? Because this is Azura's Daedra, like one of her notable... Twilights are basically associated with Azura herself. We have also Critical Surge, giving us major brutality and sorcery, increasing our weapon and spell damage, while also healing us, Unstable Wall of Storms, Daedric Prey to deal more damage, and Force Pulse for shits and giggles. Why Force Pulse? Because I'm using the Asylum Perfected Lightning Staff and the Maelstrom Perfected Staff. Because I'm not running a monster set, I went with Necropotence, giving us maximum magicka increase by X amount. And the other set is going to be a Ritualist, which gives us dealing damage to an enemy, applies Ritualist marks. When the enemies with the mark take additional 16% damage from summoned pets. So this Breton is all about that one summoned pet, the Twilight. She got a gift from Azura. Let's actually try to apply it to an enemy. Think. Yeah, that orb thingy. Now the pet is gonna deal damage. And that's it. We're just gonna rely a little bit on heavy attacking, a couple of skills here and there. And that's it. Nothing too grand. A lot of DPS, surprisingly. Now, this is not the only way you can build it. Like this one, I just limited myself to using a Twilight exclusively, without the Scamp, without the Maw of the Infernal, nothing else. Just the Twilight, considering this is the Azura build, and etc, etc. But if you really insist on having more pets, multiple pets, and you want to go wild, you can go with the second build, which is running Maw of the Infernal. It's running Necropotence, Ritualist, same, but instead of the, you know, Asylum, I went with the Ritualist front bar, and I went with the monster set. For skills, I went with Volatile's Familiar, Twilight Tormentor, and as well as Storm Atronach. We only have two active skills like that are not pets, and which is going to be Daedric Prey and Critical Surge, so we can heal. While here on the ultimate I just went with Thunderous Rage, because I don't want to do any other pet than a Twilight, so, you know, nothing too grand, nothing too special. For the CP, I believe, yeah, this one I do have the CP, same as any other. Speed, food, potion, speed. Damage, critical damage. Health, armor, we don't need recovery because pet. Magic, stamina per kill, or you can go even more speed. Where is it? Yeah, speed. Speed instead of stamina, if you really insist. For the fashion, I went with something very similar to any to the other two, which is going to be Azura's Eyes for the glowy bits. For the body markings, I went with something more or less Shattered Chivalry from the Red Petal Bastion. For the mounts, I believe it is using a Soul Razor one. Yeah, here it is. For the outfit pieces, Silver Rose, Silver Rose, Silver Rose, Silver, Prior Theatric shoulder and headpiece, but I'm hiding the headpiece for now. For the weapons, I'm going also with Prior Arms Pack, but you can always go with Silver Rose as well. It is very beautiful staff by itself. Sure, it looks sanguine as hell, but in this case it's not, so yeah, sorry, tough luck. I believe that's it. Now I just have to show the gameplay of all the three builds, so yeah. Thanks for hanging around, guys. Bye.